is death. Thought crime does not entail death. Thought crime is death. I have committed, even before setting pen to paper, the essential crime that contains all others in itself.
The FBI raised eyebrows in the tech world recently. It put out a call for advice on how to harvest information from Facebook, Twitter, and other social networking sites. The Bureau wants to troll these sites for signs of a national security threat.
That means scanning public posts, past and present, to learn about breaking news or to find patterns by so-called bad actors.
You understood the reality of the past and of the present, Winston. Now, what of the future? The question, how does one man assert power over another?
By making him suffer.
Exactly. Obedience is not enough. Power is inflicting pain and humiliation, otherwise you cannot be sure. Power is tearing human minds apart and putting them together again in new shapes of your own choosing. Power is not a means, it is an end. In our world, there will only be triumph and self-abasement. Everything else we shall destroy. The past is forbidden. Why? Because when we can cut man from his own past, then we can cut him from his family, his children, other men.
Look, what they're really trying to do is to try and gather what's called open source intelligence. Now, open source intelligence has been around since the time of the Second World War, when you would look at the price of oranges in Germany and try and understand if a fluctuation in the price of oranges would mean that a bridge had been bombed.
I confess to spreading the rumor on orders from Goldstein that the war is not really with Eurasia, but with East Asia.
Now, in their call for information, they definitely mention that they'd want to be able to search terms like lockdown or bomb or white powder. And that seems pretty easy. You could do that on Twitter right now. But there was other things that seemed a little bit more complicated, like one quote here, to predict future events taken by bad actors. Now, what does that mean?
So the idea there is what we sort of get into statistical modeling, and we can look at the statistical profiles of their social media postings or their geolocation from Foursquare check-ins or something along those lines. And what they can do with that is then say, here's a kind of profile of somebody that we'd potentially be interested in, even if we don't know that they're already a bad actor.
The FBI says that this has said specifically in a statement that this would not focus on specific people or protected groups. But, you know, I have to wonder in an era where the privacy policy for Google or Facebook seem like they're changing all the time, how you really protect yourself as a citizen.
Look, the world that we live in now is really one where we've sort of become accustomed to sharing little snippets of our lives. Now, we're sort of okay with this as long as it's just serving us ads and we can buy a pair of trainers. But I think we'll start to find in the coming years that the information trails that we leave behind will also start to define us. Serving up a book recommendation is a lot more simple than serving up a kind of a warrant for an arrest.
Right, and even some of those companies don't do that very well when you
right.
think
Now,
about
we've
it.
all seen the kind of people like you may like this book, and we've seen that go wrong. And that's okay when it goes wrong with a book recommendation. It may not be okay if it goes wrong and you end up in jail.
It does not matter if the war is not real, or when it is, that victory is not possible. The war is not meant to be won. It is meant to be continuous. The essential act of modern warfare is the destruction of the produce of human labor. A hierarchical society is only possible on the basis of poverty and ignorance. In principle, the war effort is always planned to keep society on the brink of starvation. The war is waged by the ruling group against its own subjects, and its object is not victory over Eurasia or Eastasia, but to keep the very structure of society